I gave up everything the day you disappeared, he said. I've just been waiting for a reason to live again. The final battle hours later, aboard the Altarian command vessel. Diana and Gabriel worked side by side, coordinating the defense of Earth. Gabriel's strategic mind, enhanced by access to alien computational systems, proved invaluable in directing human forces to maximum effectiveness. Zephyr approached them during a brief lull in the battle, his violet eyes reflecting respect for the human male who had accepted the situation with such grace.
Gabriel Stone.
He said in his musical voice, I want you to know that Diana spoke of you every day. Her love for you gave her the strength to endure the separation. Gabriel looked at the being who had been Diana's companion and the father of her child, seeing nobility and honor rather than rivalry. Take care of them both, he said simply. That's all I ask. We will take care of each other, Diana interjected, taking both their hands, all of us together. As she spoke, Nova stirred in her womb, and suddenly the child's consciousness reached out telepathically to both her parents and to Zephyr. In that moment, Gabriel felt the full power of the hybrid child he would help raise, and understood that love truly did transcend species, circumstance, and time. The battle for Earth raged for 3 more days, but with Diana's knowledge, Gabriel's strategic brilliance, and the combined forces of humanity and the Altarians, the Vex Armada was finally defeated. In the aftermath, as the surviving enemy ships retreated into deep space, Diana and Gabriel stood together on Earth's surface, watching the sun rise over a world that had been changed forever. We did it, Diana whispered, exhausted but triumphant. Gabriel wrapped his arms around her from behind, his hands resting on her stomach, where their future daughter waited to be born into a universe where humans and aliens could stand as equals. We did it together, he corrected. We'll face whatever comes next the same way. As the stars faded in the growing daylight, Diana leaned back against the man who had waited 5 years for her return, who had given up his empire for love, and who had chosen to build a new world rather than mourn the old one. Their story had begun with a vanished bride and a broken heart, but it would continue with the birth of a new species and the dawn of an age where love truly could conquer all. Commander Harrison's voice boomed through the station's communication system. All personnel report to the main briefing room immediately. We have a situation. Zara dressed quickly, her hands trembling slightly as she pulled on her standard. Issue uniform. She had barely slept, her mind filled with memories of Kale's touch. The way his storm-colored eyes had looked at her with such intensity. The kiss they had shared felt like it had awakened something deep within her soul, something she had never known existed. In the briefing room, 12 members of the research team gathered around the holographic display table. Commander Harrison, a stern man in his 50s with graying hair and sharp blue eyes, stood at the head of the table with an expression that made Zara's stomach drop. Satellite readings have detected an unidentified energy signature in Sector 7, Harrison announced, his voice cutting through the morning quiet. The pattern suggests advanced technology, possibly of non-human origin. Zara fought to keep her expression neutral as images of the crash site appeared on the holographic display. Her pulse quickened as she recognized the ice formations near. Where Kale's ship lay hidden, Dr. Rodriguez, the station's senior physicist, leaned forward with interest. The energy readings are unlike anything in our database. If this is what I think it is, we could be looking at first contact. Which is exactly why we're treating this as a potential threat, Harrison replied sharply. I want a full tactical team assembled within the hour. Chen, since you've been surveying that sector, you'll guide the team to the exact location. Zara's blood turned to ice. Sir, perhaps we should approach this more cautiously. If it is an alien presence, a tactical team might be seen as aggressive. Harrison's eyes narrowed as he studied her. Your job is to provide scientific analysis, not tactical advice. The team leaves in 1 hour. As the briefing ended and the team dispersed, Zara felt panic rising in her chest. She had to warn Kale, had to get him away from the crash site before the tactical team arrived. But as she turned to leave, Dr. Martinez, the station's security chief, stepped into her path. Chen, I need to speak with you privately, Martinez said, her dark eyes suspicious. There have been some irregularities in your mission reports from Sector 7. Zara's heart hammered against her ribs. but she forced her voice to remain steady. What kind of irregularities? Extended time away from your assigned survey points. Unusual energy readings on your personal scanner that don't match the official logs. Martina stepped closer, her voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. If you're hiding something, now would be the time to come clean. I don't know what you're talking about, Zara replied, meeting Martinez's gaze directly. I've been conducting thorough surveys as ordered. Martinez studied her for a long moment, then stepped back. See that you continue to do so. And Chen, don't make me regret trusting you. The race against time, Zara managed to slip away from the station 30 minutes before the tactical team was scheduled to deploy. Her environmental suit felt heavier than usual as she made her way across the frozen landscape toward Kale's crash site, her breath coming in short puffs that fogged her helmet visor. She found Kale standing outside his damaged ship, his tall form silhouetted against the alien sunrise. His white hair moved like liquid mercury in the thin atmosphere. And when he turned to face her, she saw that his storm-colored eyes were filled with knowledge. They know, he said simply, his melodious voice carrying clearly through her suit's communication system. How did you? Zara began, then stopped. Of course he would know. His people's technology was far beyond human understanding. My ship's sensors detected the approaching team 15 minutes ago, Kale explained, moving toward her with fluid grace. I have been monitoring your communications since the first day you found me. Zara felt a mix of betrayal and understanding. You've been listening to everything? Only to protect both of us, Kale said, reaching out to touch her helmet where her cheek would be underneath. Zara, you must leave. Now, before they arrive. Not without you, she said firmly, surprising herself with the conviction in her voice. Your ship can't fly, and you're still recovering from your injuries. They'll capture you, or worse. Kale's expression grew intense. And if they find you here with me, what will happen to you? The question hung between them like a challenge. Zara knew exactly what would happen. Court-martial, imprisonment, her career destroyed. But as she looked into Kale's alien features, at the being who had somehow become the most important thing in her universe in just 3 days, she realized none of that mattered. Then we run together, she said. Before Kale could protest, the distant hum of hover vehicles reached their ears. The tactical team was arriving ahead of schedule. There's a cave system 2 kilometers north, Zara said quickly, pulling up the geological survey on her handheld device. The mineral deposits will mask our heat signatures. You can hide there until dark. Kale nodded, his warrior instincts taking over. Can you make it that distance in your suit? I'll have to, Zara replied, then hesitated. Kale, there's something you should know about human physiology. Our environmental suits only have a limited oxygen supply. Understanding flickered in his storm-colored eyes. How long? 6 hours. Maybe 8 if I'm careful. Kale's jaw tightened, and for a moment, Zara saw the alien warrior beneath the gentle being she had come to know. Then we move now. The escape they ran across the frozen landscape like figures from a dream. Kale's longer strides easily keeping pace with Zara's suited form. Behind them, the tactical team's vehicles grew louder, and Zara could see searchlights beginning to sweep the area around the crash site. The cave system was exactly where the geological surveys had indicated. A network of tunnels carved into the moon's crust by ancient water flows. Kale helped Zara navigate the narrow entrance, his alien strength evident as he lifted her effortlessly over obstacles that would have stopped her cold. Deep within the cave system, they found a chamber large enough to serve as shelter. Bioluminescent crystals in the walls provided a dim, ethereal light that cast strange shadows on their faces. You need to remove your helmet, Kale said, studying the readings on Zara's environmental suit. The atmosphere in here is breathable for humans. My ship's sensors confirmed it.
Aurora hesitated,
Then slowly removed her helmet. The air was thin but breathable, with that same rain on summer Earth scent she had noticed in Kale's ship. When she looked up, she found Kale watching her with an expression of wonder. Your hair, he said softly, reaching out to touch the dark strands that had been pressed flat by the helmet. It's beautiful. Despite their dangerous situation, Zara felt warmth spread through her chest at his words. We should probably focus on staying alive first. Kale's expression grew serious. Zara, what you have done for me, the risk you have taken, I cannot repay it. I don't want repayment, she replied, settling beside him on the cave floor. I want to understand what's happening between us. Kale was quiet for a long moment, his storm-colored eyes reflecting the crystal light. Among my people, there are stories of something called the resonance. It is said that sometimes, across all the barriers of species and space, two souls recognize each other. Is that what you think this is? Zara asked, her heart beginning to race. I know it is, Kale replied, turning to face her fully. The moment you knelt beside me in my ship, I felt something I have never experienced in 3 centuries of life. Zara's breath caught. 3 centuries. My people live much longer than humans, Kale explained. But in all those years, I've never felt what I feel when I look at you. Before Zara could respond, Kale reached for her, his hands framing her face with infinite gentleness. I know this is impossible. I know your people will never accept it. But I need you to know that you have become everything to me. The kiss that followed was different from their first, deeper and more desperate. Zara felt as though she was drowning in sensation, in the way Kale's hands tangled in her hair, in the warmth of his skin against hers. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, she realized that her life had just changed forever. Kale, she whispered against his lips, I think I'm falling in love with you. Ow. His storm-colored eyes went wide, and for a moment he looked vulnerable in a way that made her heart ache. And I with you, brave little human. But what can come of this? Before Zara could answer, the sound of voices echoed through the cave system. The tactical team had found their trail, the choice there. Commander Harrison's voice bounced off the cave walls, distorted but clearly angry. Heat signatures showed 2 life forms in the main chamber. Zara and Kale pressed themselves against the crystal-studded wall, both knowing they had nowhere left to run. The tactical team's footsteps grew closer, accompanied by the whine of energy weapons powering up. Surrender now, and no one gets hurt, Martinez's voice called out. Chen, No, you're in there. Come out slowly with your hands visible. Zara felt Kale tense beside her, his alien physiology preparing for battle. She could sense the warrior in him rising to the surface, ready to fight to protect her, even against impossible odds. Don't, she whispered, placing her hand on his chest. They'll kill you. And they will imprison you, Kale replied, his voice low and dangerous. We will not allow that. You don't have a choice, Zara said, then raised her voice to address the tactical team. I'm coming out. Don't shoot. She started to stand, but Kale's hand closed around her wrist. Zara, no. We face this together. Looking into his storm-colored eyes, Zara saw her own determination reflected back at her. Whatever happened next, they would meet it as one. Together, she agreed. And they stepped out of the shadows to face whatever consequences awaited them. As the tactical team's lights illuminated them both, Zara realized that the promise she had made to help Kale for just one night had become something much more dangerous and beautiful. She had promised her heart to an alien warrior, and now she would have to fight for the right to keep that promise. The game had changed. There was no going back. The tactical team's weapons trained. On them, as Zara and Kale emerged from the crystal chamber, their hands raised in surrender. Commander Harrison stepped forward, his face a mask of fury and disbelief as he took in the sight of the tall alien warrior standing protectively beside his xenobiologist. Chen, what in the hell do you think you're doing? Harrison's voice echoed. Through the cave system, sharp with betrayal and anger, Zara felt Kale's presence like a warm anchor beside her. His storm-colored eyes calmed despite the weapons pointed at them. She straightened her shoulders, meeting her commander's gaze directly. I'm doing what any decent human being would do, she replied. Her voice steady, despite the fear coursing through her veins. I found someone injured and I helped them. Martina stepped closer, her weapon never wavering from Kale's chest. That someone is an unidentified alien life form that could be a threat to this entire station. You violated every first contact protocol we have. It's not a threat, Zara said firmly. His name is Kale Vorthok. He's a refugee from a battle, not an invader. Harrison's eyes narrowed dangerously. And how exactly do you know that, Chen? How long have you been in contact with this creature? 3 days, Zara admitted, and she heard several sharp intakes of breath from the tactical team. 3 days. During which he could have killed me a dozen times over if that had been his intention. Kale finally spoke, his melodious voice carrying clearly through the tense atmosphere. Commander Harrison, I presume? Your Dr. Chen speaks truly. I mean no harm to your people or your station. The tactical team shifted nervously at the sound of his accented English, weapons tracking his every movement. Rassen stepped forward, his face pale with shock. It speaks our language, he muttered, then louder. How do you know English? My people have been observing the younger races for millennia, Kale replied with dignity. We learn your languages as part of our understanding. I crash-landed here by accident while fleeing pirates who attacked my ship. Pirates? Martinez scoffed. How convenient. And I suppose you have proof of this? Kale's jaw tightened slightly, the only sign of his growing frustration. The wreckage of my ship contains sensor logs of the attack. Your Dr. Chen can verify this. Harrison's gaze snapped back to Zara. You've been inside an alien vessel? Chen, do you have any idea what you've done? The contamination protocols alone. I've followed proper medical procedures, Zara interrupted. So I've been monitoring my health constantly. There's been no contamination. That's not the point, Harrison snapped. You've compromised this entire mission. When Earth's command finds out about this. Earth command doesn't need to find out, Zara said quietly. And the cave fell silent except for the distant drip of melting ice. Harrison stared at her in shock. Were you suggesting we cover this up? I'm suggesting we think about what's really important here, Zara replied, taking a small step closer to Kale. We've made contact with an advanced, peaceful species. Isn't that worth more than following outdated protocols? Before Harrison could respond, a new sound filled the cave system. A deep, harmonic tone that seemed to resonate through the very walls themselves. Kale's head snapped up, his storm-colored eyes widening with recognition. My people, he said softly. They have found me. The arrival, the harmonic tone grew stronger, and suddenly the cave entrance blazed with light. Not the harsh artificial light of human technology, but something softer and more ethereal. The tactical team spun toward the entrance, weapons raised as 3 figures glided into the cave system. They were clearly of Kale's species, tall and graceful with that same silver undertone to their skin. The leader was a female, her long white hair bound with intricate metal threads, her clothing flowing like liquid starlight. Her eyes, the same storm-colored gray as Kale's, swept over the scene with ancient intelligence. Kale Vorthok, she said, her voice carrying harmonics that made the crystal walls sing in response. You have led us quite a chase. Kale stepped forward, placing himself between the newcomers and the human tactical team. Commander Nix. I did not expect a rescue so soon. The alien woman's gaze shifted to Zara, studying her with an intensity that made her skin prickle. And who is this human who stands so close to you, warrior? This is Dr. Zara Chen, Kale replied, his voice carrying a note of warning. She saved my life when my ship crashed. Without her, I would have died. Commander Nix glided closer, her movement so fluid it seemed like floating. Interesting. Tell me, Dr. Chen, why did you choose to help one of our kind? Zara felt the weight of every gaze in the cave upon her. The human tactical team, confused and frightened. Kale, protective and tense. The alien commander, ancient, incalculating. But it was the look in Kale's storm-colored eyes that gave her strength. Because it was the right thing to do, she said simply. He was hurt and alone. Species doesn't matter when someone needs help. Something flickered in Commander Nix's expression, almost like approval. Your people could learn much from such wisdom. She turned to Harrison. Commander, I believe we need to discuss the situation. Harrison stepped forward, his military bearing, asserting itself despite his obvious fear. I am Commander Harrison of the Europa 7 Research Station. By Earth's authority, I must ask you to submit to questioning regarding your presence in human space. Commander Nix's expression didn't change, but somehow the temperature in the cave seemed to drop several degrees. Commander Harrison, my people, were traveling the stars when yours were still learning to make fire. We do not submit to questioning from anyone. The tension ratcheted up another notch, weapons trained on both sides. When Kale stepped into the space between the two groups, enough, he said, his voice carrying an authority that surprised Zara. Commander Nix, these humans acted with honor. Dr. Chen risked her career and her life to save me. Commander Harrison, the Nexurists seek no conflict with humanity. The matter is more complex than you realize, young warrior, Commander Nix replied, her gaze moving between Kale and Zara. Our sensors detected the resonance bond the moment we entered the system. The revelation Zara felt her heart skip a beat. Resonance bond? Commander Nix studied her with new interest. You feel it, don't you, young human? The connection that goes deeper than mere attraction. The sense that you have found something you didn't even know you were missing. I don't understand, Zara whispered, though part of her understood perfectly. Among our people, it happens perhaps once in 1,000 generations, Commander Nix explained, moving closer to where Zara and Kale stood together. Two souls, regardless of species, become bound at the deepest level. It cannot be undone, cannot be ignored. It simply is. Harrison stepped forward aggressively. That's impossible. Human physiology doesn't allow for psychic bonding. Your science is young, Commander, Commander Nix replied coolly. There are forces in the universe your people have yet to discover. Zara felt Kale's hand brush against hers, and the simple touch sent warmth flooding through her entire body. She looked up at him, seeing her own confusion and wonder reflected in his storm-colored eyes. Is it true? She asked softly. I have felt it from the moment you first touched me, Kale replied, his voice gentle. A connection deeper than anything I have experienced in 3 centuries of life. Commander Nix nodded approvingly. The resonance has chosen you both. The question now is what you will do about it. Harrison's face had gone pale. This is insane. Chen, you're talking about abandoning your entire species for some alien mysticism, am I? Zara asked, turning to face her commander. Or am I talking about building a bridge between 2 species? About proving that understanding is possible? Earth Command will never accept this, Martinez said, her weapons still trained on the aliens. They'll court-martial you and imprison you for treason. Then perhaps, Commander Nix said quietly, Dr. Chen should consider other options. The cave fell silent as the implications sank in. Zara felt the weight of the choice pressing down on her like a physical force. Her old life, her career, her people on one side. Kale, love, and an uncertain future among the stars on the other. The choice Kale turned to face Zara fully, his hands coming up to frame her face with infinite gentleness. Zara, you must understand what this means. Dick, if you come with us, you can never return to your old life. Your people will consider you lost. Forever. And if I stay, she whispered. Pain flickered across Kale's features. Then we both suffer the rest of our lives, knowing what we could have had. Zara closed her eyes, feeling the warmth of his touch, the rightness of his presence beside her. When she opened them again, her decision was clear. I've spent my whole life studying the stars, dreaming of what might be out there, she said, her voice growing stronger with each word. I never imagined I would find something as beautiful as what we have. She turned to face Harrison and the tactical team. Commander, I resign my commission. I choose to go with them. Chen, don't be a fool, Harrison said desperately. Think about your family, your friends, your entire life. I am thinking about my life, Zara replied. About the life I want to live, not the one others expect me to live. Commander Nix stepped forward. Dr. Chen, joining our people is not a decision to make lightly. We are nomads, explorers. You would be leaving everything familiar behind. I know, Zara said, then looked up at Kale. But I'd be gaining something worth more than familiarity. I'd be gaining love. Kale's storm-colored eyes filled with an emotion so intense it took her breath away. Zara, are you certain? I've never been more certain of anything in my life. She replied, and meant it completely.
Ow.
The ritual that followed was simple but profound. Commander Nick spoke words in the musical Nexaris language while placing her hands on both Zara and Kale's heads. Zara felt something shift inside her, like a lock clicking into place. And suddenly, she could sense Kale's emotions as clearly as her own. Love, joy, wonder, and underneath it all, a connection that felt eternal, the new beginning 6 months. Later, Zara stood on the observation deck of the Nexaris exploration vessel Starweaver, watching a nebula paint the cosmos in shades of purple and gold. Her hair was longer now, woven with the same metal threads that marked her as bonded to a Nexaris warrior. Her clothing flowed like liquid starlight, and her brown eyes held depths that came from seeing wonders beyond human imagination. Kale approached from behind, his arms sliding around her waist as he pulled her back against his chest. The simple touch sent warmth flooding through the bond they shared, stronger now than ever. "Do you ever regret it?" he asked softly, his voice carrying harmonics she had learned to hear. Zara leaned back against him, feeling complete in a way she had never experienced in her old life. "Never, do you?" "Impossible," Kale replied, pressing a kiss to the top of her head. "You are my heart, my soul, my everything." Through the bond, Zara felt his love like a warm ocean surrounding her. She had given up her old life, her career, her species, but in return, she had gained the stars themselves and a love that transcended every boundary the universe could place between them. Promise had been for just one night of help. But as Zara watched the nebula swirl in impossible colors, Kale's arms around her and eternity stretching ahead of them, she knew that some promises were meant to become forever. She was never the same again, and she wouldn't have it any other way. The end.